Welcome to Career Chats. In this episode, we hear from Bake Off finalist Ruby Bhogal. Listen to Ruby's career journey and explore how she made the change from working as a project manager in the construction industry to baking. The perfect example of the adaptability needed to thrive in the current market. If you're looking to make a career change, find out what it's like and uncover tips on how to manage well under pressure.
First of all, Ruby, welcome.
Thank you.
The Bake Off is notoriously grueling. All that preparation and practice and then the stress of the actual shows. Why on earth did you apply for it?
I honestly, I have no idea. It was, firstly, thank you for reminding me of my crashing cake.
Sorry about
I still have nightmares about that.
We were inevitably going to get to that at some point, and we will.
But no, Bake Off was fantastic. It was something that I remember watching when I was at university, craving all those sugary fixes. And then I didn't actually get into baking only about 2 years ago. I had a bit of a lull in employment and it gave me something to focus on. And it gave me some, not to sound cheesy, but it gave me a bit of a purpose to my day. Whilst I was, searching for a job and whilst I was trying to stay determined and positive about the outcome, that it will be okay and, I'll fall back into a job at some point, baking gave me that kind of joy and that passion again. And I got the email come through. Someone had obviously signed me up somewhere and I got the email through and I just kind of thought, if I don't do it now, I don't know when I'm going to do it. I was turning 30 the year after and I think I was edging or looming on a what am I doing with my life crisis. And I thought I need to do something for myself and show that what's the worst that can happen? Let's give it a try.
Right, well, and you did get onto the show and you did get a phone call back and in fact you made it to the final. So did you ever imagine you would get that far?
No, never in my wildest dreams. I know it sounds, typical for someone to say that, but I've watched the show since it's been on for it's going to be 10 years this year. So I've watched it pretty much the whole entire way through. That tent is pretty iconic. And to even just step foot in there was just phenomenal. So
how did you learn to deal with the pressure of having not just 11 other bakers competing with you, but studio lights, studio cameras, judges, and, ultimately the great British viewing public scrutinising your every move?
It sounds a bit mad to believe, but there was probably I remember in the start, about 20 cameras, I think, in the tent. And you can guarantee there's always going to be one on you at least. And you kind of tend to block out everything that's going on. You get so focused and so in the zone about what you've got to do that, sure, you're in there with 11 other bakers, but the only person that's going to get you through that week is yourself. So you only have yourself and your own skills and your own intuition to kind of get you through that. So I almost feel like it's an entirely different sort of pressure that I've ever been used to. I put myself through a grueling course at University of Architecture, so I was very much aware of pressure and deadlines and time constraints, but baking is completely different. You've got to be adaptable and you've got to be okay if something doesn't go your way or something doesn't go right. You've got to be able to understand what it takes to adapt and overcome. You could burn something, which I did several times. Your cake could come crashing down, which it did. But it's just about refocusing and realigning what the end goal is and realising it will be fine in the end.
And do you have a particular trick to kind of concentrate, to get in the zone? Is there anything that you do to focus on the things that you need to focus on and cut out all the other stuff that's going on around you?
Yeah, it's so important. I think for me, I brought in a lot of experience from outside of work as well. So I'm big and a keen fitness enthusiast. So I box twice a week. I run also a lot. So for me, that's kind of my safe space. And I know I can zone in on something and I can really focus. So I brought in some of my outside experience from outside of my job and outside my career and brought that into the tent of focusing, really just, nailing what I've got to go and do. It's about blocking out everyone else. Everyone's going to progress in their own kind of rate. Everyone's going to understand the brief in a totally different way. But I guess the only way that you're going to get through something is being confident in your own ability and understanding your own strengths. I got myself into a routine. So I'd be working during the week. Then on the Fridays, I would go to set, and I'd be there the whole weekend, come back on the Sunday. And it just felt, because it was so contained, and because I hadn't told anyone else at work what I was doing on the weekends, it felt like a bubble, and it felt like it wasn't entirely real. I was working, I was coming back home maybe about 6 o'clock in the evening, and then to have to gear yourself up to then think, I'm going to bake a loaf of bread tonight, on a Monday maybe, and you just think, I just want to chill out and I just want to relax. But I didn't mind. I also just thought, actually, I can't wait to get back in the kitchen because I'm doing something that I love to do. And sure, I had to adapt my routine a little bit. I had to push aside going to the gym, which is something that I normally do every day, like 5 times a week. You've just kind of got to be okay with that, because I thought, if I don't apply myself in the way that I want to now, or I don't fully apply myself, I'll be kicking myself afterwards when I've gone out in the first few weeks.
Would you say, though, that your career is still kind of your number one job and the baking is a fun sideline, or could one ever overtake the other?
I personally, because I've seen what baking does for me, not even just in a career sense, but what it does for me and my happiness, I found my passion. I found what I love to do in life. And I never thought I'd put myself through a career or a degree in architecture, which took me the best part of, I don't know, about 6 years. It took a lot of strength and a lot of courage for me to turn around and accept that architecture probably wasn't going to be my forever career, or it wasn't my passion. Sounds a bit cheesy, but I do believe in a bit of fate, and things happen for a reason. And I got a book on bread by Paul Hollywood a few years ago for Christmas, just by chance. I don't even know why. And I remember picking it up one day when I had nothing to do, when I'd sent out loads of CVs to loads of different companies, and I picked up the book and I saw that making a loaf of bread took about 5 hours. And I thought, you know what, this is perfect. I've got something to do for the rest of my day. If anyone asks me what I'm doing, I'm baking bread, and that's it. And then I kind of fell into it every single day. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to bake something else now, because it takes a long time. So it's very easy to kind of get into a bit of a dark space where you're in a period where you just think, this is very unfamiliar. I hadn't been through a long stint like that of unemployment ever. And so it put me in an uncomfortable position. But I guess sometimes putting yourself in an uncomfortable position actually shows true strength in yourself. And it showed resilience within me also. And it sounds cheesy and it sounds a bit like a fate, but yeah, I'm very thankful to that baking book.
The pressure cooker environment, if you forgive the pun, the pressure cooker environment of the tent, you were very much plunged into it, and then you kind of got used to it. So do you think that sometimes confronting with a really challenging situation like that, perhaps the best way to do is just do it?
Yeah. Oh, completely. I am a firm believer of not hiding or running from any situation. All it does, brushing things under the carpet, gets you nowhere. I mean, I've learned that from work as well. You might as well just get on and deal with it, because you're going to have to face it at some point. And a lot of the times when you do go face on and front the issue or front the problem, you come out perfectly fine. And I guess that was the same there. Like, I've learned throughout my time at university as well, architecture is no easy feat. There was no reading week. There was no days that I had off with architecture either. There was a lot of late nights and a lot of pressured deadlines. So I've come from, I guess I'm quite used to that. And I found that almost it brings out a different side of myself when I'm in a pressured environment.
What would you tell yourself starting out in your career maybe that you wish you'd known then?
That's a great question. I do think one thing that's so common in starting a career is that self-doubt, and thinking that you're not good enough to do the job at hand. And I had that a lot. I mean, I'm in the rail industry at the moment, which is a male-dominated field. So, and I don't have rail experience in terms of, I've come from an architecture background and that side of construction, because that's what I studied. So then to go into a heavy infrastructure engineering firm, I remember going in thinking, okay, fine, I've got a master's degree, but I do not have this wealth of experience, or I don't have a clue on engineering. But it's about applying yourself and about being adaptable to your environment and to your experiences, and not to belittle your skills either. I got a master's for a reason, and I'm now in my job, and I have been doing project management now for I don't know, about 5 to 6 years in a field which I've not studied in. So yeah, believe in yourself, believe in your skills, and believe in the fact that you can bring experiences from outside of work into work to kind of help you adapt.
To hear more from our guests, including their extraordinary careers and expert advice on topics such as workplace inclusion, mental well-being and work-life balance, make sure you subscribe to the Career Chats podcast, available on Audioboom, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, to get the episodes as soon as they drop.